What's up, guys? So, if you moved into a new house, or you're just getting out on your own, or you moved into a homestead, or something like that, you've reached a point in your life where the landlord just isn't available to come and fix your problems anymore. Well, that's kind of what we're going over today. I'm going to talk about the power tools that I think you should buy first. The top 5 if you read the title, but I'm going to do it with 6 because it's my channel and I get to do what I want. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump into that. So, first thing is a drill. You got to have a drill. Use it for driving fasteners, making holes, uh, put a dowel and sandpaper around it, do all of that sort of stuff. I have the 12-volt Milwaukees. I really like them. They're compact, they're lightweight, they don't weigh anything. And for what I do, this, this is really all I need. Before I had some of the cheaper, 18-volt stuff. I think it was, Black and Decker and Skill, some of those brands like that. And you'll notice a theme around here. A lot of the stuff I bought, several years ago. And as it's gone out and burned up, well, I've upgraded it with something that was a little bit better. Actually, before I bought that drill, I bought this, and this would be the second item. Just a impact gun, little 1/4 inch hex impact. I refer to it as my screw gun. Once again, 12 volt. I bought this whenever I was working professionally as a mechanic, and I wanted the 12 volts specifically, so it could be compact. Socket adapters to put on there, and I could get this down in places, in engine bays and tight areas, and buzz stuff out really quick. Um, These are awesome for if you're driving lag bolts or just a whole bunch of screws. They're not quite as fast as these sometimes, but I can pre-drill with this and then stab the screw. But I definitely say I use my 1/4 inch hex impact a lot more than I use my drill. So yeah, and I would definitely, if you buy these, I would buy them as a kit where they come with the the driver and the drill, and the batteries and everything. You could just save a ton of money getting those batteries in a kit. If you do like I did, buy this separate, then I had to buy the batteries and the charger separate, and that was expensive. And then whenever I finally burn out my old drill, I thought, well, I've got the 12 volt stuff. I like it. Let me try this out. So I bought this as a kit that did not include the driver. So that's why I've got the brushless versus the old style brushed. I keep waiting for this to go out so I can upgrade it to brushless, but it just still keeps going. I can't seem to kill it. So yeah, if you get the choice, brushless with that stuff, any of your cordless stuff, if you have that option. Second thing you're probably going to use a lot is just a circular saw. And I'll show you what I got, and it's a cheap one. Once again, I'm waiting for this thing to die so I can upgrade it. But just a basic circular saw. This is a sidewinder. I would rather have one of the worm drive ones, the rear handle. And this is a 7 1/4. Do you need a 7 1/4? Whenever I upgrade this one, I'm probably going to go with one of the 6 1/2 that has the blade on the left hand side. I'm right handed. I don't know why they put all these blades on the wrong side where you run into lack of visibility and all of that stuff. And I don't know if I've decided if I'm going to go cordless or, go corded. But yeah, a circular saw, you can build an entire house with a circular saw and a drill. After that, and I'm kind of trying to go in order here. Once again, I'll show you mine. It's a cheap one. Keep waiting for it to die so I can upgrade it, but it's still kicking. A jigsaw. Now and then, you're just going to need to punch a hole in something, and that's what the jigsaw is for. Last time I used this was cutting a hole in the side of the house to install the dog door. Cutting inside, inside anything, or especially with curved cuts. Notice the shoe on this one's bent just a little bit, but like I said, it's a cheaper one, so that's to be expected. These work just fine as a hacksaw. I've used this to cut conduit, to run electrical with, a ton of wood, plastics. It This has just really done me well. I'd have a hard time justifying walking around without a jigsaw of some kind. Probably wouldn't get the Black and Decker. I'd get something better than this. But like I said, whenever I bought a lot of this original stuff, man, I was flat broke. So I got what I could afford. But I've had this thing for 10 years, so I guess that kind of says something. So let's see. There's the drill, driver, circular saw, jigsaw. The other item I've got for you today, I don't actually have one to show you, but just a random orbit sander. Like I said, I bought a lot of this stuff a long time ago, and I just recently burned up my sander. So I got to go get one. I would say get a random orbit palm sander just because they do a better job. They use less paper, just all around better. Um, and most of this stuff, you could go to Harbor Freight and be just fine. Pick up any of this stuff if it's just for occasional use. If you're going to use it a little bit more heavy, I'd go with something that's more of a name brand. Milwaukee, DeWalt, Makita, Flex. Man, we were looking at some of those Flex tools, and they were pretty nice. But I do plan on upgrading all of my stuff to one of the. I'm thinking about. I'm trying to make up my mind whether it's going to be the Cobalt or the Milwaukee. I've been really happy with Milwaukee. I'm going to throw in two others that aren't absolutely necessary, but if you've got a homestead and any kind of equipment, broken equipment and fixing equipment is just going to be part of your life. So, number one is the impact. This is the 12-volt Milwaukee 3/8 stubby. This thing right here has almost become my favorite power tool. It'll rotate tires absolutely amazingly. Anything under hood, this thing can take care of. Um, I just recently used it on a water pump, and yeah, that short stubbiness of that, plenty of torque left over to be able to do that. Uh, Saves absolutely a ton of time. And to go along with that, I would say get you a cordless ratchet. Once again, this is one I bought a long time ago. I kind of bought it on an impulse at Harbor Freight. When this one finally dies, I'll upgrade it to the Milwaukee, but it keeps living, and so I just can't seem to replace it. I hate to replace it until it's dead. As far as your impact, you don't have to get the fancy one. This big monster is one from Harbor Freight that I used for years. This thing rotated a bunch of tires. This thing did a lot of work for me, and it actually still runs. It still runs pretty well, actually, although I hardly ever use it, like almost never. Um, but if I've got a ton of lag bolts, I'll grab it because it's corded and I can plug it in and not worry about batteries. But yeah, this thing still works just fine. It's just the Chicago Electric one from Harbor Freight. Zero complaints out of it. Believe it or not, this, at least whenever I run the bigger batteries, this right here actually has more torque than this does, believe that or not. But anyway, there's just kind of a little bit of a introduction of what power tools you might start out with. If I was going to add something to that, might be an air compressor. I don't think there's as big of a need anymore for the big giant air compressors. We're just not using air tools like we used to. Everything's been replaced with the cordless. So just I like an air compressor that's big enough that I can carry around with one hand, unless you've got tractors or something like that. You're airing up big amounts of tire, right? You just need that extra volume. Other than that, I'd probably put a 4.5-inch angle grinder. I use mine a lot. However, I almost never use it to grind stuff. I use it for mainly with a cutoff wheel for cutting metal. It's my preferred tool for cutting metal. So if I had to add something that I didn't bring out here with me, that's what it would be. It would be the 4.5 inch angle grinder and just an air compressor. All right. Well, until next time, you guys be safe.